Welcome back to Update Day in Old School, and this week's update we have a ton of small changes split between Raids 3, Quest Speedrunning, and then the Wilderness Boss Rework rewards. To kick things off, we'll go ahead and start with the TOA tweaks. Personally, they feel TOA is in a really good spot after all of the recent adjustments, so realistically we won't be seeing too many more changes, if any at all, in the coming weeks. With that said, the changes to TOA this week are they fixed an error where the need less help invocation was providing less supplies throughout the raid than it was intended to. The crocodile spawns on Path of Cronus were a little inconsistent, meaning that even tick perfect players were occasionally having to make an extra run for water, so they've improved the consistency of these spawns so that players with a need for speed should find the room a little less frustrating. The max hit threshold when mining the pillar in the Path of Het has been reduced from 102 mining to 100. And the cascading X attack during Warden's Phase 2 will no longer damage you if the Warden is downed. About time that change came into effect, considering you could literally get hit by both sides of the X depending on where you did accidentally down Warden. And then finally, Zebak was having trouble sinking his teeth into players on certain tiles, so the Colossal Croc is now able to melee players stood on the corners of his lair. But that is everything for Raids 3 changes this week, so let's go ahead and jump to Quest Speedrunning. Dropped items such as food or untradables now follow the player between worlds while quest speedrunning. Items dropped by the player during an active speedrun are now correctly deleted when the speedrun is abandoned. They plan to have items dropped by NPCs work the exact same way on launch. Players are now able to abandon their current speedrun while in the wilderness and should find themselves teleported back to Lumbridge as expected. And players' keybinds and other settings no longer reset when starting a new speedrun. And now for the final changes this week, we have the adjustments to the Wildy boss rewards. Based on everything they've seen through the beta, it looks like the upgraded Rev weapons neatly fit their role of anti-PK weapons. And in the original Wilderness Boss Rework design blog, they made an amendment from early feedback that they would allow the Thammarin Scepter and a Curse Scepter to autocast. And with this week's update, they've adjusted both of these items on the beta world so that they can properly experiment with them as Wilderness Slayer powerhouses. And then finally, the Voidwaker was intended to be a best-in-slot non-degradable strength training option for 75 attack builds, but while still being outclassed in terms of DPS by the staples like the Abyssal Whip. But after initial experimentation, it seems the Voidwaker is a little lackluster when compared to the Bludgeon, so they've bumped its melee strength bonus from plus 75 to plus 80. And then finally, end off this week's update. Last week they shared a post from PostDP about a mysterious message he'd received from a hooded stranger. And ultimately we won't find out until later today, but it does seem a lot like Crack the Clue could be coming back to Old School. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did find it helpful, consider dropping a like. It massively helps me out. And if you're around here often and not already, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one.